Hey Trekking Tribe, and welcome back to Trek with the Castros. Today we are taking you to sunny Valencia, Spain, and we are so excited to share with you our trip and show you the best things to do with kids on your next trip, because I know it can be a struggle. So if you are thinking about heading to Valencia and you have kids, this is a must watch. From futuristic architecture to beach days in Paella, that is what dreams are made of. So let's dive into it. So we arrived in Valencia first by train, then by plane via Wizz Air, and that review is coming up soon. So the energy of the coastal city pretty much hits you right away. It's a perfect mix of old world charm and like modern flair. We stayed at a local hotel called Casa Basa, which is right on Playa de la Malvarosa, which is about a 20-minute car ride from the historic city center. And we used the bus, but there's more on that, okay? Fun side note, our hotel was ironically actually owned by a Romanian. And if you are new here, we actually live in Romania. So it was a fun little coincidence. And honestly, every single aspect of our stay at Casa Basa was excellent, from the rooms to the restaurant that is right next door connected to it. It was an excellent experience. From the employees to the cleanliness to the staff, it was all great, and location as well. So we started off our trip exploring the historic city center. We're talking day one. So we went to Mercado Central, the central market, where of course we had horchata for my husband, and there it's actually filled with fresh produce and local treats, especially seafood and fish. And right next to it, pretty much, or like kind of like across, is La Lonja, which is the Silk Exchange. I know I always say the J wrong in Spanish, but it is the Silk Exchange, and it is very historic for the trade routes there. There are also tons of restaurants right in front of the local grand big market, and they get all of essentially their fresh food and seafood from the market. So it's a great way to experience it, and there's so much food in there that you could also eat and snack while you are exploring. It is a little toasty and crowded, but it's just kind of like stalls, and you get to walk through the open market, and it's just a fabulous experience. So at the beginning, for transportation, we were using Ubers as the transportation. And let me tell you, it was not a good experience. Ubers in Spain, if you have a kid that is in a car seat age category, you must supply your own car seat. Well, if you were like most of us, we don't just have car seats just sitting with us. And what are you going to do once you get to your attraction and thing to do? What are you doing with a car seat? You're not going to just carry it around. So we had 5 Ubers refuse us at different points of the time of our trip at the beginning, because we had kids with us. They would not let you in the car. We even rented vans through Uber, like a luxury van, because we were like, for sure, we're going to write, we have kids. We added that in. We ordered a van, so we didn't have to have 2 different Ubers, because you can only have like 3 people in each Uber. And the lady came up, she was shaking her finger no to us before she even stopped driving. She was like, nope, car seats. You didn't bring car seats. We were like, you're right, because we're tourists. We don't just have car seats in our backpacks. So that was not fun. After that, we took the bus everywhere. We used the bus, and it was no problem. Airport transfers and shuttles, we had no issue not having car seats. There was not an issue at all. So after that, we used the local bus. We did route like 95, and I can't remember the other one. And it was awesome. Once you got the hang of it, it was cheap. We saved a ton of money, and it was very safe and affordable and excellent. So use the bus if you're there, not Uber. So day 2 of our trip, we actually did a day trip to the town of Montanejos, which is waterfalls and thermal springs and blue lagoons. We had the opportunity to eat at a local restaurant in town. It was great, except for the fact that they had like opened the dam or like the gates for the Blue Lagoon. And so because they did that, they had a giant surge of fresh water come into the Blue Lagoon, which made the water really cold. It was like a polar plunge. There was adults that actually didn't continue on at the Blue Lagoon because the water was so cold. Our kids were champs. They did it. And unfortunately, it wasn't blue because of it. So because of the surge of extreme water coming into the lagoon, it stirred up the sediments on the bottom and it made it brown. So you were swimming in mud water the whole time. So it was not this pretty idyllic blue lagoon. It was the brown lagoon, but we were there for the experience, the waterfalls, and the health benefits and the antioxidants that the water has and the minerals that it has to offer. And it was fun, and our kids managed to do it while we were quite chilly. It was a great experience all in all, but it was not blue. But we saw a waterfall for the first time in our life in person, and it was majestic to say the least. When we got back home, this was through Get Your Guide. It was wonderful who did this. I can also send you the link who did this. The man's name, Mike, I believe. He's actually an American who moved to Spain and opened up his own company, and he helps people explore locally, which is a wonderful opportunity. And it was an 8-hour full day excursion. The bus was like top of the line, brand new, amazing air conditioning. The tour guide was fabulous. It was hands down just a fabulous overall day. When we got back home, I made dinner reservations. Well, I had already made dinner reservations at a restaurant that was less than 10-minute walk. It was near our hotel. It was called Adjuana. It is a seafood restaurant. My husband and daughter got to go into like the glass area and pick out their specific fresh fish and how they wanted it cooked. I had a steak with this like fresh, like it was like garlic and apple, like puree, like a glaze. And my steak was probably the best steak I've maybe had my whole life. It was a fantastic meal. It was probably one of the best meals while we were actually in Valencia. So, as you know, you cannot come to Valencia without trying the authentic paella. This is the birthplace of paella. We visited Casa Basa restaurant on the beach, which again is where we were staying, but the hotel has a connected restaurant. It was hands down the best paella we had our entire stay. Also, pro tip, try the horchata with ice chips because it's super hot there. It is a little different than how my husband grew up drinking it. They did a little different, but with the ice chips, it was so refreshing for the summer heat. So rolling into day 3, right? We switched it up. We ditched Uber and we started going on the bus, and we stayed that way for the whole trip, and it was excellent. We went from frustration and spending 50 euros per trip, because again, we had to order 2 separate Ubers every single time, to 8 euros per trip. We did a private boat rental with a skipper. And honestly, actually, it was supposed to be the day before, but we had a big storm and the boat rental got delayed. So they let us do it the day after. And it was great. But the waves were enormous on the Mediterranean because the storm had just left. It wasn't a calm day. They didn't have white caps, but it was just enormous rolling waves. There was a little bit of seasickness happening for some of our little ones, but they were champs. We had a great day. On board, they gave us fresh tapas, which if you don't know are the appetizers. We had drinks. We went to a town off the little strip of the island called Little Venice, where we got off and had some snacks and lunch. We also toured the harbor in the marinas. We saw the old stomping grounds of Formula One racing, where it was. They haven't been there for the last 5 to 6 years. And honestly, we did loads of swimming in the Mediterranean. We would just stop and everybody would jump off the swim platform and just have a ball. And they enjoyed the rolling waves in the water. So if you are enjoying this, it would help me so much if you would hit that like button and subscribe, and drop a comment if Valencia is on your travel wish list, or if you've already been and what your favorite part of your trip was. So day 5, no, day 4. Of course, we all know that a Valencia trip would not be complete without a beach day, right? So we headed to Malvarosa Beach, which is just a short drive from the city center. But again, we were staying on the beach, so it was right outside our hotel. It was the beach itself on Malvarosa is filled with really super soft sand, and the water is actually shallow enough for all ages, and it's extremely family friendly. And they have like bathroom tents with blue and white stripes on it on the beach for anyone. And I didn't go in there, but my kids did, and they said it was extremely clean. They were really happy with the quality of it. So overall, I think it's a great family beach, and I would recommend it. But some things to know if you are planning to go to Malvarosa Beach is maybe bring your own chairs and umbrellas if that is an option and availability to you. There are rentals, but if you're not there super early, availability can be difficult in the peak times. And from what we saw, it is only 2 chairs per like little tiki umbrella. So if you have more than 2 people, you might end up renting multiple for your group size to be accommodated. And that can add up quickly because they were not super cheap. So we actually personally chose not to rent any, which wasn't my favorite. I wish we had had some chairs, but it worked because the beach was hot. So we could not stay out there for 8 hours. You would just toast, you would fry, okay? So disclosure, like we stayed also at the end of the beach. We were right next to the marina. So I cannot speak for the middle or the other end of the beach. I can only speak for the beach section that is down towards the marina for beach rentals and how the vibe was, how family friendly it was. I'm glad we were down near the marina because that's sort of where all the restaurants were. It's where everybody was. And it was not as crowded on that strip of the beach than down. If you just stood into the water and looked down, it just looks like masses of thousands of people. So honestly, staying near the marina was some of the best hotels that we enjoyed, the food, and the crowd level was the best. So day 5. We went back to Old Town for a second time and explored the neighborhood of El Carmen, which we absolutely loved the vibe. We actually loved it more than the historic center. The people, the restaurants, the little bars there. It was hands down our favorite part of going into the city was the El Carmen neighborhood. And it's like a quick 10-15 minute walk from the city center. It's not bad. And I had it on our agenda to do, but we didn't really fully understand where it was because this was sort of a last minute planned trip. So we were just walking back to our bus stop and we accidentally ended up in the neighborhood and came back through it and we loved it. So it is specifically known for its winding medieval streets, and it is really just beautiful. If you are there, take the time, stroll 10 minutes out of your way, 15 minutes out of your way, go through the tiny, narrower medieval streets. It takes you back in time, and it's beautiful. So day 6, we went to Oceanographic, which is Europe's largest aquarium. It is massive. They have actually like different buildings with different sections depending on the animals and the marine life that you want to see, okay? It is, again, the largest aquarium in all of Europe. The downside to that, though, is it can be super crowded. And because it was super crowded, unfortunately, there was a lot of adults that were there with no kids, which I have no problem with, but they were just there on their phones. They weren't taking in the moments. They were just there to film it. And because they were so tall, because they're adults and they're just sitting on their phones blocking everything, our kids actually missed some of the exhibits because they couldn't get in to see because the adults were just sitting on their phones. So because it's so large, it attracts a vast amount of people, and just being aware of that. And also, you are walking, sometimes you can go underneath like the tunnel parts to go to different attractions, and sometimes you walk on the outside to go to them. They also had a dolphin show, which was fabulous. They have restaurants there, but it is expensive, and just know if you plan on getting waters or snacks there, it's not the cheapest, most affordable option. And they also have like a fine dining restaurant where you can, I'm pretty sure you eat in the aquarium. And so the walls are the aquarium, which is a really awesome experience. We have already done that before in the past on a different trip. So we opted to actually leave the aquarium and go back to El Carmen and find somewhere to eat. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. We got tacos. So you can't really get tacos here in Romania. So we had that opportunity and we went back and got tacos for the second time at this Mexican restaurant, which was really delicious, which I think it's called TKO, and met some really cool people there that we ended up bumping into for a second time. So day seven. Day seven was another beach day, okay? Our hotel ended up being the best place we ate at, and for almost the entire trip. So besides one of the fancy restaurant, which was Arjuana, which I mentioned on like day 1 or 2. So besides that, the other places that we ate at just didn't compare to our restaurant, our hotel restaurant, time and time again. So middle of our trip, we actually ended up canceling the rest of our dinner reservations and just ate back at the hotel because location was best, the food was best, the price was best. And also we had free breakfast when we were staying there, and our breakfast was great. So the people that were working there began to know us, and we actually had like our own table that we sat at every single day, and they would recognize us and they'd make sure to put us at our table. And it was pretty good. We had 3 servers, 3 employees there that were hands down phenomenal. The rest were okay. You just had to, not everybody is a fan of children. So you have to just take that into consideration when you're going. But 3 employees at the restaurant were exceptional, and we made sure to make that known with their managers that recognition should be seen for how well they do their jobs above and beyond, because let's be honest, sometimes the bad things are highlighted, but the good aren't. And so we wanted to make sure that those several employees were validated and did get seen for their above and beyond abilities and personalities. And it really made the experience 10 times better. So again, we canceled most of our dinner reservations midway through, and we ate at the restaurant because it was so good. And if you are going, you have got to try their it's an appetizer of their shrimp, and it's made in olive oil with fresh garlic and some chili peppers. It is delicious. Their mussels at Casa Basa were amazing, and they had the best Valencia paella that we had. And we even went to El Trompo, which is known as the paella house. It was not as good. We kept going back to this place because the paella was the best, the mussels were the best, the shrimp was the best, and it was a must-eat place if you are visiting Malvarosa Beach specifically. So day 8 was our travel day. We were leaving, but in the morning, we actually went back to Old Town. We ended up doing an eco bike tour of the city, which was unplanned because it was just so hot. We didn't feel like walking anymore. So we did an eco bike tour, and then we went back to El Carmen neighborhood and just strolled through the streets and headed to the airport. We ended up with a 2-hour delay and didn't get back to Bucharest until like 2 a.m. And then at 2 a.m. we had to walk 10 minutes to our hotel, which is right next to the airport. That was an interesting walk. It's a little stressful at 2 a.m. to walk with 4 kids in the dark with your luggage, and it had been raining, so there was mud everywhere. We actually had to hose off our suitcases in the hotel shower. So thankfully we were able to clean those up, and our shoes as well. The hotel was brilliant. Our hotel was the Hilton Garden Inn, and it is right next to the airport in Bucharest. I adamantly suggest staying here if you need a layover. The rooms were clean. The hotel's huge. They have breakfast. They have lunch. It is so close you can walk. It is exceptional, and we were blown away by the hotel experience, even though it was such a short stay. The next day, we got up pretty early, and we went to the train station and took our train ride home. Valencia totally surprised us. It's a perfect combo of culture, food, fun, and family-friendly vibes. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this helps you prepare for your next trip to Valencia. Hit the bell so that you do not miss the next one, and until next time, happy trekking. Bye.